What up, y'all? It's T-Tar, and today we're looking at more of y'all's theories for Pokemon in 2024. Let's go. The new Mythical. Hi, T-Tar. I recently saw your video about the missing Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. So they're going off the idea we were talking about since it's just one Pokemon, so you can't really have one for each version, that somehow it's about the past and the future. Y'all ready to hear this? I know y'all see it coming. Imagine a past Paradox Celebi with future augmentations. So essentially, the mythical Pokemon being a variant of Celebi. The reason we all think this is because there's a fan art that perfectly describes this, and it's something we really wanted back in the day. The name would be something like Flowing Enforcer, combining the naming schemes of the past and future paradoxes. So I was thinking if it had to embody both the past and future and be a where did it come from paradox, that it would have a true name, that it would have a name like Koraidon and Miraidon, so that we can't tell from the paradox name. Or, dude, it would be cool. Oh my god, so imagine in Pokemon Scarlet, they have a past name for it, like Tearing Soar. I don't know, Celebi, it's tearing through time and space as it soars. But then in Pokemon Violet, the same NPC calls it like Iron Soar, something like that, right? So you have a paradox name for both versions, and then maybe the Pokedex entries would reflect those two names as well. A culture entries too. So in like Pokemon Scarlet, the culture would say something like it was seen aiding wounded Pokemon once in a forest. But then its entry in Pokemon Violet that a culture writes would be something like it was seen after a forest suddenly burned down. Just something to contrast the two. I know it's not gonna happen. I mean, it's just a movie Mythical, right? How deep could it really go? But honestly, the movie Mythicals, they look badass sometimes. Like Zorora, that is one of the coolest looking Pokemon. But it's just in the middle of nowhere that you don't even know if it really matters that deep. So these movie Mythicals can look really cool. But can it be attached to the lore so deep that it's actually a one last Paradox Pokemon? Let me show y'all that Celebi artwork. Oh, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Look at it, dude. So the right side of its upper body is the past Celebi, and then the left side of its lower body is the past Celebi. So it's like half and half. And what other Pokemon to make the ultimate time paradox affected like this than the Pokemon that travels through time this much? But yeah, so instead of being called Tangled Time, it just has a straight up name. What do y'all think? What are the odds they actually make it one Paradox Pokemon between both versions for this new Pokemon? The unrevealed Pokemon and grayed out area, my dudes. Don't do it. Hey, T-Tar, what if this new Pokemon is the gorilla from Heat's book? This is so funny because it could legit be true. Pokemon has shown us an entire ass Pokemon and not told us what it is. It could be unexplained that we just have a gorilla in existence, but it would make sense if Pokemon already has this Pokemon made and ready to go, that they teased it early in Heat's book and showed that Heath ran into it. But check this out, very fittingly we only see the backside, which is like an ominous way to hint it early, right? It's not like you saw a side profile, you legit saw its whole back. So a gorilla mythical Pokemon. And it could also be, if it lives in the current time, it could be the one that beat up Arven's Mabustiff, because Arven never really talks about who beat it up. I think he said he met it between the first two research stations, so that's like halfway through Area Zero, and he did, if I remember correctly, make it sound like it was a Paradox Pokemon. And so it's not Great Tusk because we see him reacting to Great Tusk, and it's probably not any of like the ones you can run into. Well, I guess they're different in each game. I mean, like the Delibird and the Jigglypuff, Hydreigon, Amoonguss. It's none of those. Maybe it's a Pokemon he misunderstood to be a Paradox, or it's the one Sod and Tor use in their final fight. But if he misunderstood it, I guess it could be this gorilla. We hope the front side looks cool because it legit looks like a IRL gorilla from what you see here. Maybe it's a Pokemon that's just been wandering all around Area Zero in Paldea. It is kind of weird though because we just got Zarude. Zarude is the most recent mythical Pokemon, and dude is a monkey too. But let's keep reading this. So every Pokemon drawn or photographed in that book at least resembles or is an actual Pokemon except for that gorilla. The way it subtly is in the book and the fact that Heath never mentions it could be Gamefreak's way of showing us hints at the beginning and then surprising us later on. We also still have no idea what that grayed out area is in Paldea. So what if that's where a new mythical Pokemon is? A couple things to mention here. One, I think it's just a tease for a Gamefreak to put that there, to gray it out, but it's not going to be a playable location. So I talked about this in the other video. We know how their movie mythicals go, so there's a good chance no stories attached to this mythical, that it's straight up you just download it to your game. I would hope not, but I can't really knock them if they just make it downloadable because they did the Peach Run event right. Come on, last time we got an event like that was Victini. That is crazy they did it again. But something could happen where you get a little piece of story. So it's something like this. The movie is this, let's just go by this theory. The movie is this gorilla Pokemon. And you're gonna see Kratom Rhydon's Terrestrial states in this movie. It's gonna be about Paldea. After watching the movie, instead of downloading the mythical Pokemon itself, that you get an item. And let's say this is some kind of ingredient. So you get the item into your game, it's a key item. And when you go to Arvin, before he doesn't acknowledge the Scarlet and Violet book in your possession, right? The one you got by Paradox from Starter Arturo. Now, when talking about this ingredient, the book comes up and he goes, yo, you know what? Let's go back to Area Zero's time machine. And so when you go to Area Zero, you'll meet Arvin at the start of it. You're not going to walk with him the whole way down. And he'll mention, bro, it feels like someone's following us. And maybe you get this small piece of story where when you go back to Area Zero, in front of Zero Lab, you just see this weird ass gorilla Pokemon in front of the lab. Like he's just inspecting around. And Arvin's, oh shoot, Arvin would be like, that sucker did it. He beat my Mabustuff up. I guess right then and there, you would just end up catching it. That would be the whole event. Because it can't be that complicated. I was trying to go down the path of getting your Kratom Rhydon to awaken their terrestrial states. But you know what would make more sense, now that I think of it, is the event you download is the item that when you give to Kratom Rhydon, like Ogerpon's masks, it allows it to do its terrestrial state. That's probably what makes more sense. And so you have this item, when you talk to Arvin, it just triggers an updated dialogue where he goes to Area Zero. But that's a pretty crazy thing to program, right? For a movie event, Gamefreak's not gonna go through all that, but it could be something like that. Just condensed. It'd be like freaking 22 minutes of content. And then at the end, you catch the gorilla, and you go to the time machine room, and Arvin concludes the Scarlet and Violet game by saying, okay, I guess we got the key to the time machine now, but it's in good hands. No one ever needs to use this machine again. Something like that. Bro, if it actually turns out to be the gorilla, it's actually a very good setup if it is the gorilla. It's far more superior to tease the mythical Pokemon rather than to just come out of nowhere. We saw Gamefreak tease Peacharaun in the Ogerpon cutscene. My goodness, this dude is not a Pokemon. He's a freaking actual gorilla. Unless when he turns around, he's got like tribal markings. I don't see how that thing could look badass in any way. He turns around as a human in a suit? Bro, y'all gotta actually look at this. He's taking notes on all the Pokemon he's seen, right? He's taking notes on this thing. He has some dialogue here. What is this, by the way? I don't even know what that belongs to. Oh, it's the bottom of Glamora? Oh, that's disgusting. He's seen the bottom of Glamora's feet. It's like squares. Anyhow, he's taking notes on the arms. He's like, he got good shoulders. He put dot dots. I don't know what that is. But it shows, right? If this really is the new mythical Pokemon, he was wandering Area Zero 200 years ago. Make sure y'all shake that like button. Let me know. Is that the mythical Pokemon? And if it is, actually, tell me what you could make of this silhouette to make it badass enough to be a mythical. Like, what do we have to see when it turns around for it to be worthy of that? Because back in the first gen, okay, you can have a pony as a whole Pokemon. But we've grown so intricate that there's no shot that's just a gorilla. The countdown continues. There are 5 weeks, my dudes, until Pokemon Day, and today is the last day of week 5. So we are on the verge of the halfway point. It's the final stretch, my dudes. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.